All right, welcome to Module 5. This is going to cover the years 1965 to 1994, and this is weeks 12, 13, and 14 for us. We watch a lot in this module. We're going to watch quite a few films, and the reason being, this was a very important time period for Mexican Americans, but it was a very important time period for a lot of Americans. So there's a lot of film. Not to mention, the 80s brought kind of a surge of great Mexican American Chicano films, and so there is a lot to choose from. So I've been selective in the films that we will watch, but I think you'll enjoy it. And the reason that I think this is one of the best modules is because 1965 marks this beginning of the Chicano movement, the rise of the Chicano movement. It marks this beginning, the civil rights movement, the height of the civil rights movement, rather. This is a great time for minorities at the time to speak up and see things, begin to shift and to change for the better. And I think it's a very important time period. And we get to watch the film Cesar Chavez, which is just a good movie all the way around, and it's great. And I really like Chavez. His life fascinates me. He was an excellent speaker, civil rights advocate, just really an interesting character all the way around. So, week 12 of this module, we're going to go back to the PBS documentary. We're going to watch another part that deals with the period from 1965 to 1980 specifically, and all of that information about Cesar Chavez and company, and there's a lot of really important players at the time in that movement, but we'll be able to watch the historical background of that. And then there's an article in week 12 as well, The Origins and History of the Chicano Movement by Roberto Rodriguez. And week 13, this is a good week because that's when we'll watch the Cesar Chavez film, and we'll listen to one of his speeches, The Mexican American and the Church, and another one of his speeches we'll listen to when he speaks at UCLA in 1972. And so these are good, give us a good picture of who Chavez was, what he stood for, what he believed. He was a nonviolent protester, following in the same mentality of Martin Luther King Jr. and Gandhi, and we're going to talk about that. In fact, discussion 5.1 for week 13, our discussion is going to revolve around nonviolent resistance, and is it effective, and what are its advantages, what are its disadvantages, and we're going to talk about that a little bit, because if you haven't noticed, there's been some nonviolent and violent resistance that has been taking place even in the current situation in America. Some peaceful protests that have been turned horribly violent, and so there's nothing new in these kind of ways of protesting. It's been going on for years. What are the benefits? What are the disadvantages to being peaceful? And I think it's an interesting conversation to have. And then in week 14, we're going to watch two films, Stand and Deliver and Born in East LA. Stand and Deliver is a great film. It's about a math teacher, and he takes a group of kids who are thought to be kind of written off and incapable of learning, being successful, and he shapes him. It's based on a true story. He shapes him into becoming really great at the math and then passing a very important exam, state test. And it's really a good film, but it gives us a great look at what life was like in the 80s for Mexican Americans. And then we're going to do things a little more lighthearted with Born in East LA, which is Cheech Marin. And if you've ever seen Cheech and Chong, yeah, that's Cheech. But of course, maybe you haven't. I don't know. But Cheech and Chong were, it was a movie about drug culture, or movies about drug culture, and they smoked a lot of weed and stuff like that from the 80s, 70s, and 80s. But anyway, so all that is to kind of bring us to the point where we will do our book review. This module, you're going to do a summary analysis number 5 over an article about Cheech in the film as being kind of a archetype of Moses leading people to the promised land. It's a pretty good article. Or you could do your summary analysis number 5 on Rodriguez, the origins and history of the Chicano movement. So this module covering weeks 12, 13, and 14, we're going to watch documentary. We're going to read several articles, one by Rodriguez and one about Cheech as the Chicano Moses, and then also going to look at another article about films, stereotyping in films, and that's by Berg in week 14. And then we're going to watch Stand and Deliver, Born in East LA, and Cesar Chavez, the film. And we'll also look at some of Cesar Chavez's speaking and writing that he did kind of as a philosopher. And then we have Module 5 quiz, and you'll do a film analysis of Cesar Chavez, the film. So the deliverables this week, just to be clear, Module 5 quiz, film analysis number 3, Cesar Chavez, summary analysis number 5, it's going to be over Cheech's Moses article or the origins of the Chicano movement, and then you're going to turn in your book review for The House on Mango Street. And that is worth 5% of your grade, so it's important that you do it. I'm not telling you that you can't do it, but if you didn't do it and you were doing well in every other area, you could still, it wouldn't hurt you terribly. It's just one grade at 5%. But if you're already on the cusp, I wouldn't risk missing something like that. But I look forward to reading all of your reviews based on The House on Mango Street. All right, only one more module left in this class, and I'll see you in the next module introduction.